University on this one. Those of you that are watching by YouTube, we're fixing to watch a video clip that is on YouTube, so I can't show it on YouTube and stream on YouTube at the same time, at least not with this apparatus. So you'll probably, hopefully can hear it, but we're starting a series tonight on religions of the world and Christianity. And so the question is asked about why is Christianity the right religion?
Another text question says, if all religions claim to be truth, then how can Christianity make that claim and think that it is correct?
Appreciate that question, and it's a question that has the assumption that is very correct. Oftentimes the Christian takes the hit that he or she who is a follower of Jesus Christ is the only one who lays claim to exclusivity. That is not true. Gautama Buddha was born a Hindu, and he renounced two of the fundamental doctrines of Hinduism, the authority of the Vedas and the caste system. He could not accept those two, went on his own journey in search of enlightenment, and came, of course, with the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and the ultimate extinguishing of desire in his nirvanic pursuit. So he turned his belief away from the religion of his birth in order to find a different answer. Islam is also exclusivistic in its claim, in all of its precepts and its 5 pillars and so on. What about these contradistinctions? The first thing we need to know is there are distinctions, there are fundamental differences. At best, there are superficial similarities. I often hear the question posed wrongly. They'll say, aren't all religions fundamentally the same and superficially different? No, they are fundamentally different, and at best they are superficially similar. What are the fundamental claims, for example? In Buddhism, the goal is to extinguish hunger, extinguish desire. I remember talking to the first woman monk who was from Thailand to be ordained into the Buddhist priesthood. But Thai Buddhists do not ordain women, so she went to Sri Lanka to be ordained, and she has a PhD in philosophy from McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario, and Waterloo, I guess, Ontario, McMaster University there. Got her PhD in philosophy, and she gave me the first interview. We chatted for well over an hour, one-on-one, and I sort of angled into some questions because I didn't want to be too discourteous. And one of the things I said to her is, I hear you're married. And she said, yes. I said, you have children? She said, yes. I said, but you're living in a temple by yourself? She said, yes. I said, do you not see your children? She started crying. She said, I have a car. I said, you have a car? She said, yeah. I said, okay. So she drove herself because she can't allow a man to drive her, she said, so she has to drive herself. And she says, every evening at the end of the day, I try and meet up with one of my children. She said, this is the hardest part of my life. I said, so you are on the journey to extinguishing the desire to be with your children. Is that right? Is that a fair assessment? Quiet. And then I said this. I said, the Dalai Lama has as his primary pursuit now the freedom of Tibet. She said, that's right. I said, why does he desire that? She looked at me and she said, we try not to get into these philosophical questions. Let's just say that he chooses to. You take a look at other world religions and see where these 4 questions are dealt with: origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. These 4 questions have to be answered in 2 ways. Follow me, please. Every particular answer has to correspond to truth, either through empirical form of measurement or through the logical reasoning process. And when those 4 answers are put together, they must cohere and not be incoherent. So the 2 tests, correspondence and coherence. I guarantee you, only in the Judeo-Christian worldview will you find these 4 questions answered with corresponding truthfulness and with the coherence of a worldview. Let me take just one example, and I don't say this to slight, but this is a fact, and we have to deal with it. I've been invited in many, many Islamic countries, and I have open forums there, and going to go to one of the toughest Islamic countries within the next few weeks. They've hosted me in many parts there, and we've had dialogues. I want to give to you two things. In the Quran, it is the only historically claimed document that denies that Jesus Christ was actually crucified or died on the cross. Denies that. The Greek historians say he died on the cross. Roman historians say that. Pagan historians say that. Jewish historians say that. And Christian historians say that. The Quran is the only one that says it appeared to him that he died, but he didn't actually die on the cross. So historically, it is making an affirmation that is really historically untrue. I got into a discussion with Sheikh Hussein of the leading Shiite cleric in Damascus, Syria, a real gentleman. For over 3 hours, we talked with an interpreter between us and an audience listening in. I was allowed to ask him one question about his faith, and he was allowed to ask me one question about mine. There was nothing, no rancor, no adversarial stance, just a perspective and counter-perspective and back and forth. It's the best way to do it, really. At the end of it, Sheikh Hussein looked at me. He was very respectful through the whole time, always referred to me as Professor Zacharias. And then at the end, he looked at me, leaned over, and he said, "You know, Professor, I think the time has come for us in the Islamic world to stop asking if Jesus Christ died and to start asking why." I said to him, "May I quote you on that, sir?" He said, "Yes, you may. I'm hopefully going to go there before long, and I hope we can meet up again. Origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. The Judeo-Christian worldview is not the only one that claims exclusivity, but it's the only one that takes those four questions with corresponding answers that are truthful and coherent answers that stand the test of time. And the ultimate answer of the resurrection from the dead that gives you hope and meaning." I see we have.
All right. So we're going to take those four things that he talked about. We're going to expand upon those throughout this series. Okay. So in case you, if I don't know if he was following that, so if you look on your page 1 there are countless religions of the world, and the basic definition of religion. Basic definition of religion is a conscientious devotion to a principle or idea. That's the basic definition of religion. A conscientious devotion to a principle or idea. So making money can be a religion. And in fact, it is. In fact, Jesus called it a god. It is an idol. People worship it. He said, you're either going to serve the idol of mammon, or you're going to serve God. So the question is, aren't all religions fundamentally the same and superficially different? As he said, no, they are fundamentally different and at best superficially the same. All major religions claim an exclusive path or paths to God or to freedom or nirvana or to that nothingness, but it's exclusive. In other words, Islam claims they're the only way to God. Christianity claims the only way to God. And there are other religions that claim the only path to enlightenment or to their God. Okay? So there are 4 questions that have got to be answered in truth. There's got to be truth attached to those answers that is either empirical measurement. In other words, you can go to 16 BC and you can find such and such actually existed. That's a measurement. Okay? And are the logical reasoning process. Those 4 questions are origin, where did we come from? What is the meaning of life or the purpose of life? What is the morality attached to it? And what is the destiny? Where does this path of religion take you to? How do you get there? All right. When you answer those 4 questions, they must cohere, which means they've got to stick together. They're not just independently out there. No, they've got to all stick together, all answered in under the same heading. They can't be incoherent. In other words, you can't have 2 of the 4 answered with truth And the other two, well, we don't know if it's truth or not. Or 3 or 4, all 4 of them are answered. And only Judeo-Christianity answers all 4 of the questions. Where did we come from? What's our meaning or our purpose of life? What is the morality established? And what is our destiny? Judeo-Christianity answers all of those, and it can be backed up. I think I thought I did a series one time about how we got the Bible, the trustworthiness of the Bible. And when you look at all the statistical data of the Bible as a document, the mathematical odds of it being accurate are just unbelievable. It's just amazing that you have all these different authors, different places, different time periods. And, you know, when you read, I'll just take, for example, the book of Daniel. Modern scholars, you know what? I am so sorry. I have to stop here for a second.